the UK has lagged behind similar countries on investment, both private and public. Our levels of private investment have often been behind our peers. And when it comes to public investment, we know the pattern. Capital investment for the future, often robbed in order to meet the bills of day-to-day expenditure. And we have stopped that pattern. We've stopped that pattern with the budget that was set by the Chancellor about 6 months ago. And it was a big change because we inherited plans just about a year ago when the general election happened, where the same old pattern was set to play out. Capital expenditure was going to be not going to make the contribution that it should. And the Chancellor looked at that pattern and, to her credit, decided to change that. And that leaves us with a plan where there will be £113 billion more capital investment across the 5 years of this Parliament than would have been the case if we had stuck to the Tory plans that we inherited. So if anyone ever speaks to you about austerity 2.0 or anything like that, I think we should nail that stone dead where it should be. This is a government which is investing in the country's future. And also when some people say, why don't you, have rules that allow you to invest in the future? That's exactly what the Chancellor does have and what she set out. Now, what does this mean? Well, you will hear more about it when she stands up on Wednesday, but we've already had a taste with £15 billion announced last week for trams, buses, local train networks around the country. All of this investment in connectivity is an investment in the country's future. It's a platform for private investment too, because when private investment knows that the government is there, it's got its shoulder to the wheel, that gives business more confidence to make its investment in the future too. And we are trying to encourage that through the pension reforms that my colleague Torsten Bell has been pioneering, so that the pensions of the country, which are huge in scale, that a proportion of that can be invested in supporting good, productive businesses here in the UK too. So investment is the first thing I wanted to talk about because it's so important and it's going to be a big feature of the spending review this week. The second thing I want to talk to you about is trade, because the spending review comes after this government has negotiated 3 trade deals in as many weeks, some weeks ago. Let me just say a word about each. When it comes to the trade deal with India, for example, this is one of the fastest growing economies in the world, an absolutely huge market for the UK. And a trade deal with India is something that previous governments really wanted, but they couldn't land. You might remember we were going to have a trade deal by Diwali, but nobody said which Diwali. And it didn't happen. But now we have a trade deal with India. And some of you might have picked up from my accent where I grew up. I grew up in Scotland, and one of our fantastic Scottish products and really important economic products is Scotch whisky. Now, just to give you an example, the tariff on that will fall to a fraction of its current level, which will open up a whole new market for this fantastic Scottish product, which is not just a great product in itself, but it's a really important export product. So that trade deal is very good news on that front and on many others in terms of trade with India. And when I think about the agreement with the United States, we were the first country to get an agreement with the United States. Now, I grew up in Scotland, yes, but I'm a West Midlands MP. And critical to that agreement was the agreements on steel and automotive, which have underpinned tens of thousands of jobs in this country. And in the West Midlands, we are very, very proud that we have Jaguar Land Rover located there. And the agreement with the United States was absolutely critical to their future, and not just those employed directly in the plant, but in all the supply companies which pepper the whole region. That was this government batting for major British companies. And it's a really, really important agreement for our automotive industry, for our steel industry, and for many others. Because through that deal, we've reached an SPS agreement, a food export agreement, which will get rid of very costly bureaucracy and delays and costs for all those businesses that export food and drink products to the European Union. This has been a big injection of cost in recent years, which through the agreement that we've reached, we are removing. So good news for our farmers, for our agriculture, for food and drink companies throughout the United Kingdom. What unites all of these is a government that has resisted the temptation foisted upon it by many others to say you have to choose. You have to choose a good relationship with the United States or a good relationship with the European Union. We have shown that is not the case, that you don't have to choose, and that we can, through sensible negotiation, through putting the national interest first, we can have agreements that are good for companies from the distilleries in the north of Scotland to food producers right on the south coast. The whole country can benefit from these deals. So that's my message to you tonight. Two things important to the small and medium-sized business economy: investment and trade. And this government, your Labour government, is backing both of them. Thank you very much.